So happy to be here for another episode of Maps and Grabs. As always, I'm your host, Lyric Swinton. As you can see, I have the wrestler towel around my neck right now, which means only one thing. Yes, Katsuyori Shibata wrestled on Dynamite tonight. I'm recording this on Wednesday night. You've probably heard me say this on the show plenty of times, but I hate recording on Wednesdays. However, because Forbidden Door is coming up and literally I need every single Dynamite for just the scraps of information that we get about Forbidden Door. That's why recently I've been recording on Wednesday nights. And you know what? We got a lot of great information this week. I'm super excited about. I'm going to briefly, though, I do want to talk about last week. Obviously, we had the debut of AEW Collision, as well as we had a few things be announced on Rampage. And so, yeah, for one, I feel like starting with Collision, I think that Collision definitely does its job. I think that it stands out. It's not like, it doesn't feel like Dynamite. And I think that the show has a lot of potential. That stage is sick. Like, that is an incredible stage that they have. I love it. I think that it's fantastic. I think that just the entire look, obviously, they started out in Chicago. I think that a lot of stars that typically don't get, any type of, screen time or recognition are getting some of that here on Collision. So I think that that's super cool. Also, I'm recording this episode live. So for everybody who's watching in the chat, hello, feel free to comment any thoughts that you have on anything that I'm saying, or just to say hello. I appreciate it. But like I was saying, I feel like Collision does its job. I will say the TNT title changing hands did shock me. I was very shocked to see Wardlow lose. I feel like they've been going up and down with him. And I mean, I will say I've enjoyed the resurgence they've been doing with Wardlow, pairing him with Arn Anderson. So I didn't expect them to take the title back off of him that fast. However, Christian Cage celebrating like it was his title win was the funniest thing ever. I had a blast watching him celebrate. That he had what I like to call one of those Patrick Beverly type of, celebrations where for any of you like basketball fans, you know that Patrick Beverly, he will celebrate a regular season game like he just won the NBA Finals, and it's always the funniest thing ever. And Christian did not wrestle that match at all, but he took that title and he celebrated like he just won the World Series, and that will forever burn in my mind as a wrestling fan. And I just had a blast watching him. It was also really good to see Andrade come back. Him and Buddy Matthews had a really, really great match, and I enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what's next for them. Obviously, Andrade got jumped by the House of Black after the match. So, as of right now, nobody from Los Ingobernables de Japón and New Japan has been announced for Forbidden Door. And it looks like they were setting up a match of House of Black versus Andrade, and Andrade needs some friends. I heard Kevin Kelly on commentary talking about Tranquilo, which is obviously possibly a nod to Naito. So I'm super excited to see if LIJ, joins Andrade for Forbidden Door, simply because Andrade, to my knowledge, I think he's no longer working with AAA. So that'll be really cool because they haven't been announced for the card yet. And obviously, as you've heard me just gush about LIJ throughout this year, because they've been doing such a great job. specifically Hiromu Takahashi and the newest member, Yosuji. Obviously, Teton did a great job during Best of the Super Juniors, but he primarily works in CMLL, so he will not be attended. He will not be in attendance for Forbidden Door, but I'm very excited to see. Hopefully, those guys team up. Also, for Forbidden Door, there was an amazing tag match. Not Forbidden Door, I'm sorry. Collision. There was an amazing women's tag match. Sky Blue and Willie Nightingale versus the Outcasts. That was a great women's tag team match. I think I've said it on Twitter, but I'll say it again. The Outcasts just work so much better for me without Saraya. Ruby and Tony are just such solid workers, and like they always do just a great job. And obviously, Sky Blue and Willow are great baby faces. Sky Blue got one hell of a reaction in Chicago, which is her hometown. Honestly, it should probably have been expected, but she's been. I think that on that AEW roster, I think specifically the women's roster, I think we've seen more growth from her on a match to match standpoint, probably than any other woman on the roster. And I think a lot of that, especially rookie women on the roster, and I think a lot of that is due to her commitment to getting better. She's taking those indie bookings. She's doing those extra dates. Like she's literally trying to get more and more reps in because clearly like wrestling is the thing that she wants to do and she wants to be really good at it and she wants to be a star. And obviously, you know, AEW is treating her as such. And so I've been very, very pleased with her progress. We had the return of Miro versus Tony Nese in a very short match. Tony Nese has been doing that athletic trainer gimmick at shows. I first saw it at the Ring of Honor show that was on Honor Club last week, and it's really corny, but it's really cool. So I love that. And we had the main event. FTR and CM Punk versus Bullet Club Gold and Samoa Joe. This was a great 6-man tag team match. However, I do believe that it went way too long. Like, I don't understand why a brand new show, like a brand spanking new show, this is the first episode ever. Like, give us something to sink our teeth into. You know, where's the cliffhanger? Obviously, you know, they announced some great stuff on Dynamite, you know, to incentivize everyone to watch Collision. So I do understand that, but at the same time, like, you know, it's the first show. Like, what's going to be that lasting memory of, you know, it would have been a great second or third episode, but it just really didn't stand out as a great first episode. However, they did do a pretty great number, around 800K, which is really good for a Saturday show. Obviously, it's going to like probably, you know, settle out later, but that was a really good first week number. But yeah, like the 6-man tag was great. Obviously, there was the great moment with, you know, CM Punk and Samoa Joe having their face off after, you know, all the battles that they had in Ring of Honor. Seeing Jay White and CM Punk face off was really good. I honestly think that was FTR's best match of 2023 so far, 100%. That is the best showing that they've had. It was a great match, and you know, everybody, you know, did their thing. Like I said, it just went a little too long, and I just wish that it had been shorter, and maybe we would have got like a surprise somewhere, you know, just a little oomph factor. But moving on, aside from Collision, I forgot to talk about Rampage. So Rampage, there was the a United Empire versus Chaos, which was super cool. Having Will Ospreay on TV, teaming with Kyle Fletcher and Jeff Cobb. They defeated Chuck Taylor, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta. Taya Valkyrie faced Trish Adora. I wanted that match to be so much longer because these two are two of the best women's wrestlers in the world. I truly believe that, and I really do adore both of them. It was very short. I know it was just to build some momentum for Taya heading into her TBS Championship match with Chris Statlander, obviously on Dynamite, but I just really did. Wish that match was longer. There was a 6-man match. Aubrey Edwards, Mark Briscoe, and Papa Briscoe versus Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Karen Jarrett. This match was a clusterfuck, as it was probably anticipated to be. However, I don't know. I'm still a Jarrett-aholic. Like, I'm still fully sucked into the Jarrett verse. Like, they entertain me, and that thing is, they're not taking up too much screen time. Like, that match, believe it or not, was under 10 minutes. Like, I feel like they do just enough. It was funny. They got their spots in. And honestly, apparently they popped the ratings. So, either, I don't know, what is it, Jeff Jarrett? Was it Aubrey Edwards? Was it Papa Briscoe? I don't know, but they popped the rating. So, give them their props. The TNAEW verse is working for some people still. Like, they still get amazing crowd reactions. So I'm convinced that a lot of the hate is just online. But hey, I'm still ing. So huge fan. And also fantastic match between Konosuke Takeshita and Bandito. Bandito has announced that he is injured after that match, which is super sad. But I don't think it's a super serious injury that's going to have him out long, which is great. But that match was absolutely fantastic. Those two are incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, incredibly talented. And I think that this was Takeshita's first real showcase as a heel. Obviously, we've seen him, go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the business, but he was a baby face, and we had never really seen this super ruthless side to him that we're starting to see now, and he is absolutely excelling in this role. And so that's been super cool to see him make that shift, because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't originally 100% sold on Takeshita being a heel, because I didn't know if he would have been able to really excel at it just because of how great of a babyface that he was. But he's been doing all of the things. And he's been a little shit on TV with Don Callis, and he's been really good in this heel role. And so he's making me pray on his downfall, which is probably the best thing that you could really ask for a heel right now. Like, he doesn't even have entrance music anymore. Like, he literally comes out to a chorus of boos, which is phenomenal to be able to get that type of crowd reaction to where you're able to even do that. I think there's probably like one other person in pro wrestling right now who's able to get that type of heat, and that's probably Dom Mysterio over in WWE, which is crazy to think about. That Dom and Don Callis, Dom and Don are the most overly hated people in professional wrestling today, kayfabe wise. That's absolutely insane to think about. But hey, that's where we are. So I've been super pleased with it. Obviously, Pro Wrestling Noah had a show this weekend. Also, Pro Wrestling Noah, I would just like to say, you have thoroughly stressed out my nerves this weekend. I just want you to know that, because one, there was the Green Journey and Nagoya show this weekend, and the specific matches to keep an eye on were, at least for me, was the Axis match. So Go Shiozaki and Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Kongo, Keno, and Manabu Soya. And remember the first match that they had, I think I talked about it on here, Axis actually lost in their return match, and so they finally got their lick back this past weekend, and they beat Kongo. And then there was also the GHC heavyweight title match that I had my eye on, and Jake Lee retained the title against Takashi Sugiura, who also announced that he's injured after that match. So obviously, this is just a really bad time, I think, for injuries during the summer, just around the board for professional wrestling. So definitely keeping everybody uplifted in prayer. But as for Axis specifically, just because if you know me, when it comes to Noah, I'm an Axis stan. There's some really cool storylines coming out of this. So obviously, Nakajima has a huge match coming up against Kento Miyahara on July 15th at Korakuen Hall. And then you have Kino and Go Shiozaki have a match coming up literally in about 6 hours. In about 6 hours. So on the 22nd in Japan. And I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to stay up from it for. I probably will. But the thing that I was really, really nervous about is that at Green Journey in Nagoya, they basically announced they're just like, Naomichi Marufuji has an announcement to make, and they weren't like budging on what it was at all of like on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna retire? Like, if he retires, I'm going to like literally go lay down and cry. And so I was literally so nervous all weekend long, and I stayed up all night until like 4 a.m. on Tuesday, just to like get the news, because I was just like, I need to know in real time, like if Marufuji is announcing his retirement, like I need to, just say I was, watching in real time. Like, I can't believe this, but turns out he's not retiring. He just announced his 25th anniversary show. It's coming up, which is going to be really cool. I'm excited. I think, what did they say? September 17th. So it's super cool stuff. And he said that his match is going to be something like he thinks he can sell it out off one match. So I'm super excited to find out who his opponent is going to be. Obviously, I know that Ren Narita wants a match with Marufuji. I do not know if that match will be the match at Marufuji's 25th anniversary. As much as I love Ren, I don't think that's going to sell out the venue just based off one match. But I'm like I said, I'm really excited. Marufuji is one of those wrestlers that really inspire a generation, and so many people, and people say it all the time. Like, I think John Moxley said this, and also Eddie Kingston said this. So many wrestlers have stolen, borrowed, whatever, so much stuff from Namichi Marufuji. So many moves, so many just philosophies. Like, he's the guy. Like, he's just. Whenever I hear that entrance music, I just want to get up. It's great stuff. So thank God he's not retiring. And I'm really, and now that I look back, I will say I felt really crazy after that. Like, I felt so crazy after that, because when I look back, I'm like, Lyric, you should have really been able to like guess that everything was fine. But I don't know, like, wrestling, so many stuff has just been going good recently to where I think I've been just so nervous that, oh my gosh, everything is about to like fall apart. But whatever, we're fine. Everything's fine. Also, this past weekend, I decided to dip my toes in some new waters, aka All Japan Pro Wrestling. Somebody put me on Twitter. Shout out to @King in the North. Listen, I did not know that All Japan was cooking like that. Like, I knew, obviously, I will say that coming out of All Together Again, my interest is definitely peaked, because I do think that All Japan has a lot to offer. Like, I do think that they have a lot to offer, and I think that they really came into All Together Again knowing that they were the least known out of everybody. However, I do think that they have an amazing ace in Kento Miyahara. Like, every time I've watched him perform between All Together Again and now, I'm just like, wow. Like, even if you didn't tell me like who he was to the company, if you lined a whole bunch of guys up and told me to point out the biggest star, I would point to him. He carries himself like an absolute legend. He has like his presence in the ring, like he has incredible stage presence. Like he can get the crowd into absolutely anything. Like he just carries himself like he's the biggest star in the world, and he literally makes you believe it. Like even though like I feel like I've just started watching his matches, I feel like, oh wow, he's been one of my favorite wrestlers for a long time just because of just how good he is. So I watched, what did I watch? I watched a few matches from the New Age Maniac show. I watched the last three matches. So I watched oh the Daisuke Sekimoto and Yuji Okabayashi versus Suji Ishikawa and Suwama. This match was the definition of big meaty men slapping meat. Like hands down, absolutely just fantastic. One of the best matches, tag matches I've seen this year, honestly. Like, I think I'm probably going to go back and rewatch it. Absolutely incredible stuff. Also the All Japan World Tag Team Title match, Kento Miyahara and Yumi Oyagi versus Asuki Oyagi and Rising Hayato. This one was so good. And that Rising Hayato is amazing. Amazing. I definitely earned a new fan in me. And so watching that match made me go back to the match that happened about 2 days before that, because I was just like, wasn't Keno the All Japan World Tag Team Champions? And he was, but he lost those. Him and Manabu Soya lost those belts 2 days before, and so I went back and I watched that match, the tag team title match where Kento Miyahara and Yumi Aragi won the All Japan World Tag Team title, and that match was absolutely incredible. Keno is Keno. Like, I think that he's so underrated, and honestly, I really thought about him a lot this weekend, about how he should probably be on a lot more people's Wrestler of the Year list, simply because Keno, a lot of times in Japanese wrestling, I feel like, there doesn't have to be a story for things to be good. Like, there doesn't have to be, like, all these extra talking. And I think that's part of the beauty of Japanese wrestling. It's really so wrestling focused. And you don't always need a story. However, I feel like Keno has made every single match, every single, feud, rivalry he's been a part of so meaningful. Like, and I really paid attention to him for the first time at the Wrestle Kingdom show with the New Japan versus Noah and the build to that, and like all the stuff he's doing with LIJ, and he's pulling up on Naito and like saying, you didn't pay for that, and he's pulling up at Bushi's Family's Fried Chicken Joint, and he's showing up at Naito's Family Restaurant, and he's showing up at all these people's stuff. He's roasting Tanahashi, and he's getting in people's faces, and he just takes everything to hell. And he's one of those people, he reminds me so much of Eddie Kingston, of just like, I'm not sure he doesn't know that wrestling isn't real. And from people I know that have actually spoken to him, they're like, he's always in character, which I find extremely hilarious, because I cannot imagine being that serious 24/7, which he is apparently. And the thing is, I don't even think I've ever seen Keno smile, and he's heading on his he's about to do his 15th anniversary show, which is super exciting. The world is the better place with Keno in it, and I think that he's just so underrated. He makes everything feel important. He can make anything feel special, and I absolutely love that about him. And that's why I'm super excited for this Go Shiozaki match. You'll probably find, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll find out if I stayed up for it or not. Probably I will, and if I don't, I'm going to watch it as soon as I wake up. But he's just been a menace all year long. Like, he literally popped up and did a full vlog and a body bag and literally ripped him out the plastic. He was acting brand new. Like literally, there's photographic evidence. And so I think Keno's great. But yeah, going back, I dibbled and dabbled in All Japan for the first time. So been super pleased by what I find. Obviously, I love New Japan. I follow Noah pretty closely, love Stardom. And also I'm trying to get into, other stuff too. It's just trying to find the time. It's so crazy. I have so much stuff to share with you all, and I can't really share it until after this weekend, but I'm super excited for everybody to find out about some of the opportunities that have been coming my way regarding wrestling. But like I said, um, I've just been really pleased by Japanese Puro this year, and I feel like I just fall deeper and deeper as a fan. Um, every single show, there's so much exciting stuff happening. Like I just feel like, oh my gosh, I have to get to Japan as soon as possible, just because things are going so well. So super happy about that. But going back to this week, which is Dynamite. So we started off with the Guns versus the Hardys. This match was a match. It did what it needed to do. It was short. And you know, the Guns, this was really just to show off how they are part of Bullet Club Gold now, and to set up a match coming up for Collision, which is Bullet Club Gold, featuring the Guns versus CMFTR and Ricky Starks. So did what it needed to do. I am not mad at it one bit. It wasn't the best match, but it was okay. And next we had the concession stand brawl with Jeff Jarrett and um, Mark Briscoe. I laugh when I think about this because the Jarrett verse, man, I don't know. Like it's getting really crazy. It's getting super crazy, and I can't be mad at it though. I can't be mad at it because it's like I said, I'm a Bree Woo kind of girl, and I grew up watching TNA, so I can't say that I hate it. I'm sorry. I remember one of my favorite angles growing up. Well, the fact that I said angle was really, really ironic. But anyway, one of my favorite angles growing up was TNA when Karen Angle, well, she was Karen Angle at that point, and AJ Styles thought he was in love with her when, the main event mafia stuff, just absolutely hilarious. I loved it. It was, yeah, it was fantastic. But so yeah, like I said, this match didn't even go to 10 minutes. It did what it needed to do. Like, whatever, moving on. Next we had a really great trios match in Minoru Suzuki and Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Action Andretti, AR Fox, and Darius Martin. So this was super cool. Obviously, it's always great to see our favorite murder grandpa. Chicago did a great job of singing Kazani Nare the way that they should. I cannot wait to sing it myself. I can't wait. I can't wait to sing it myself at Forbidden Door. But this match also did what it needed to do. It set up a trios match for Forbidden Door, which will be what did he call it? Le Suzuki gods versus Sting, Darby Allin, and a partner of their choosing. I think that said partner will either be Naito or Shingo, because obviously Shingo was their partner last year. Dudes with attitudes, I'm really not upset about any of it. So I'm really kind of excited about whichever person that they choose, because I know it's going to be great. Last year, both the match with Lei Suzuki Gods, as well as the match with Dudes with Attitudes, ended up being absolutely incredible for Forbidden Door last year. I was so entertained, and yeah, so I'm really kind of happy whichever way this shapes out. Um, Also, there was Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Katsuyori Shibata and Orange Cassidy. Daniel Garcia got the pin on Shibata. It was really, really crazy, but it was a great match. I was super pleased with it. I these guys are four of my faves. Like I said, I think that Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy are some of the best champions, period, in professional wrestling today. I also said on Twitter today that the mid card champions this year have been whooping everybody's ass. Like essentially, the mid card champions have been outshining world champions literally almost every single promotion. You've seen it with Gunther. You've seen it with you've seen it with Orange Cassidy. You've seen it with Zack Sabre Jr. And it's getting really bad. I don't know what to tell y'all, but it's really, I don't know. Like I need the world champions, so-called world champions, to step it up. Speaking of so-called world champions, Adam Cole did a promo segment calling out MJF, and Tanahashi showed up on the screen. MJ8. I think that when Tanahashi literally can't say his opponent's names, it's the funniest thing ever. Obviously, at the Yuji Nagata show this past weekend on New Japan, in Tanahashi's post-show comment, he went through literally almost the entire alphabet before he can get MJF's name right, and that was extremely funny to me. And I thought it was hilarious. And also, I think, and obviously, so they did that blind eliminator thing, not blind tag team tournament. So I'm very confused. I thought that they were supposed to like essentially just announce the brackets and just not, and we just weren't supposed to know beforehand. I didn't know that they were just pulling people out and just putting random teams, but they're not even telling us who the teams were, and then they're not even telling us what the brackets were. I was very confused about that. But they announced just one team, and apparently the one is Adam Cole and MJF. So we'll see how this goes. I think that it's probably a good thing. The match last week with Adam Cole and MJF was really good, and obviously this is going somewhere for this to get a rematch, and hopefully we don't go through the whole trials to get MJF thing. That's just such an old and tired shtick. But I don't know. I feel like a conversation happened. I don't know what conversation happened between Max and Tony, but I think he must have said, listen, buddy, if you want to hold on to that belt, one, you're going to have to wrestle more, and two, you have to show your ass up on Rampage, because they started saying he's going to show up on Rampage for the first time. So this is just a lot of out of character stuff. So maybe, I haven't been too high on this world title reign, but, maybe something will be shown to me. I don't know. But this is definitely a step in the right direction, because I will say, like, working with Adam Cole is probably one of the times I've been more interested in the title reign. So we shall see. And also, I feel like Adam Cole has gotten his confidence back. He's been looking like an absolute superstar in this particular feud. So I'm super happy for him, and I'm really happy that he seems it's clicking for him again in the ring and on the mic. So that seems to be really cool. But going back to what I was, how do I continue to get off track like this? That is so funny. But going back to the tag match, Daniel Garcia, Zack Sabre Jr., Katsuyori Shibata, and Orange Cassidy will be facing each other in a 4-way international championship match. This match has the potential to possibly steal the show. And that's on a card with Bryan Danielson versus Okada and Kenny Omega versus Ospreay. But I think that, yeah, this card is so stacked. I'm going to talk about the last match, and then I'm going to give a rundown of where we are on the Forbidden Door card right now. And so the last match of the night was Taya Valkyrie versus the TBS champion Chris Statlander. It was really good, really solid. big meaty women slapping me. I think that Chris Statlander has been doing an amazing job as TBS champion. Super over with the crowd. Her wrestling has been incredible. Like the move she's busting out right now after a person who's blown out two knees is absolutely insane. When she says she's more than a woman, she means that. And I think that, and I say this as a person who 100% loves Jade Cargill and just loves what she did with that belt. Obviously, Jade is very limited in the ring simply because she's, fairly inexperienced and she hasn't gotten to get a lot of reps because I do think that the undefeated streak held her back in a sense of being able to wrestle more, wrestle a variety of opponents. And I think that some of those restrictions are no longer there with a wrestler like Chris Statlander, who is more experienced. And it's showing because she's able to wrestle on a more consistent basis and wrestle, I think, high, any type of opponent on any given day. And she's defended that title so much, both on TV as well as on the house show circuit. I'm just really proud of what she's done with it. And I think Taya has been a great opponent for her. And I think Taya has really, even though like she's lost some big matches, I think she has really looked like a star in AEW. And I think that she has made their younger talent so much better. And she's just doing really well. Like, I've been really pleased with her ring work. And I feel like specifically in this match with Chris Statlander, we got to see like, oh, this is the AAA Taya that everybody's talking about. So super exciting stuff. So yeah, moving into the Forbidden Door card. We have, like I said, the AEW International Title 4-way match, which is Orange Cassidy versus Katsuyori Shibata versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Daniel Garcia. There's a 6-man tag team match, Minoru Suzuki and the Jericho Appreciation Society, Jericho and Sammy versus Darby, Sting, and a mystery partner. Fingers crossed for Shingo. We now have announced a Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament quarterfinal match, which is going to be CM Punk versus Satoshi Kojima. We have a 10-man tag, which I'm so excited about. I just want to say that. Like, I'm so excited about when they did every single promo about this match. I wanted to cry. When Eddie and John Moxley had their face off tonight, I wanted to cry. This is what I live for. These are the things about wrestling that truly make me show up. Like, this is why I love it here. We have a 10-person tag. And it's going to be the Elite, Hangman, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, plus Eddie Kingston, plus Tomohiro Ishii, versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Konosuke Takeshita, and Shota Umino. You really can't ask for much more than that. I can't ask for much more than that. You have the IWGP World Heavyweight Title match, which is Sonata versus Jack Perry, which I think is also going to be a sleeper candidate for one of the matches of the night. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. You have the AEW World Title match, which is going to be MJF versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Go Ace. And you have the AEW Women's World Title match has been announced. So you're going to have Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. And also, I'll give props to Toni Storm. That's a bad girl. That is a bad girl. Because she didn't just wrestle on the first Forbidden Door. She's wrestling on the second Forbidden Door for the Women's World Title. This time, she's coming in as champion. She's always been one of those people, like, who can hold her on the card. And I also think it's really fitting to have her on this card. One, the former ace of Stardom, but also she just recently made her own, debut in New Japan Strong. So excited to see what her future looks like going forward. I have my own theories about what's going to happen on this match. Wink, wink. I think the women's match is going to be one of the highlights of the night. That's all I'm going to say. But I love this moment for Willow. She has been carrying that belt with such high class and prestige. I'm so happy for her. And she's just, it's almost like you can just tell like she's just gotten this huge burst of confidence. And it's showing up in her matches. She looks like an absolute, like, powerhouse. That pounce that she hit on Collision, I genuinely thought that Ruby was going to die. I was like, oh my God, she almost killed her. This is awesome. Super exciting. But the two main events we have, of course, the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match, which is so much more than just a title match. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is looking to get his lick back. This is also, keep in mind, their first match at Wrestle Kingdom is my undisputed match of the year, so I'm excited to see them try to top it. And then we have Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Man. Seeing those two stare each other down on Dynamite really gave me chills. Like, what a time to be alive. I'm so glad that I'm just really happy to have Bryan Danielson in AEW. Really happy to have all of these people in the AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, TK multiverse. Like, it's just so cool. Just such an amazing group of talented people. I do think a few more matches are going to be added to the card. But one other. Hello, we have a Forbidden Door 0 Hour match was announced for the Women Owen Hart Women's Tournament quarterfinal match. Athena versus Billie Starkz. I'm so excited that Athena is going to be on this Forbidden Door card in some shape or form or fashion. She is the Joshi killer. She is the American Joshi. It's incredible for her to be on this card, and I think she is well deserved. She is the amazing Ring of Honor Women's World Champion right now, and I think she is the best women's champion, period. The best world champion, period, right now in the world today. So it's super exciting that she's going to be involved in some way, and I think Billie Starkz is a great opponent, obviously. Billie has been killing it up and down. And also, she's been wrestling some of the best Joshis in the world, best wrestlers in the world, period, lately. I think Billie Starkz has probably worked one of the most brutal schedules for any wrestler in the world while completing her senior year of high school. Absolutely insane. Oh, shout out to also Nick Wayne for graduating high school. He's going to be in AEW in less than a month. That's absolutely insane to think about. But like I said, I'm just super excited to have Athena and Billie Starkz represented. Like, imagine being 18 years old and saying, like, oh, yeah, I'm on 0 Hour for Forbidden Door 2. That's insane. Just absolutely insane. So super happy for them. And also other matches that were announced for this tournament that I was super excited about. Obviously, we're going to have Britt versus Ruby next week, but Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe. Y'all, shut the front door. Like, shut the front door. Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe is going to happen very soon. I think it's going to happen with next week's Collision. I don't know. But it's a part of, like, AEW's Big Canada Tour. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I am so excited to see how everybody rocks my socks off with this one. Also, we're going to have Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs, as well as Juice Robinson versus Ricky Starks. So that's going to be really cool. And that's going to be on Collision in Hamilton. So much fun, right? Like, so much fun. And like also on Collision this week in Toronto, we're going to have Nyla Rose versus Willow Nightingale. So that's going to be fun as well. So I'm just super excited to see how this goes. I really think that this stretch between Rampage, Collision, and Forbidden Door is absolutely insane. Like, the Rampage card for this week is absolutely nuts. And like, you have Swerve Strickland in United Empire, Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay versus Chaos, Chuck Taylor, Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, and Yo. Like, what? You have Doki versus Jack Perry. You have Anna Jay versus Sky Blue. Absolutely insane. And then you swing it around to Collision, And now you have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Swerve Strickland, Andrade El Idolo versus Brody King, Nyla Rose versus Willie Nightingale, as I said, and then you have like I mentioned earlier, the CMFTR and Ricky Starks versus Bullet Club Gold and the Gun. So just amazingly, let me tell you something. AEW TK is stepping up to where ROH TK been for a minute, and he's booking his ass off, and I'm thankful because you already know ROH is already stacked for this week. Just simply because we have Athena versus Kiera Hogan in a match, not just a match, but a Chicago street fight. So you already know that we're already coming with the heat. Anyway, heading in, but there's also Gringo Loco versus Willie Mack, Daniel Garcia versus Rocky Romero in a pure rules match, as well as the Kingdom versus the Infantry. I'm really excited for that match because they've had, they've been doing a little back and forth. They've had it going on. I've loved the little how they've been snitching on each other to Stokely Hathaway. And also shout out to Stokely Hathaway. Stokely Hathaway has been doing amazing as the authority figure on Ring of Honor. He's hilarious. I think he has a brilliant mind for wrestling. And I think that I love seeing him used in this way. And I think he's been absolutely brilliant since coming to AEW, but specifically in this role, I think that he's going to shine brighter than he ever has before. So I'm super excited about that as well. So, well, I talked about that last week, but obviously Stardom has the huge pay-per-view this weekend. I recommend that everybody watch it when you get a chance. Obviously, it's going to be on probably 3 hours after Forbidden Door. I probably won't catch it on that day, but I will catch it probably when I get back home from Forbidden Door, because I get back home on Monday. So I'll probably catch it either during my layover or I'll catch it after the show. Once I officially get home, but I'll definitely watch it probably in the first 24 hours of it happening. But definitely watch the Stardom show. Yes, am I sad that there's no Stardom talent being included on Forbidden Door? Yes. However, Stardom has their own stuff going on right now. That's a whole nother conversation. One day I'm going to talk about the accessibility of Stardom, but today isn't the day. But like I was saying, I think that there's some really great matches on that card. I talked about them last week. Obviously, the biggest match of note is that Queen's Quest versus Odio Tai cage match, which will and the last person will have to left in the cage will have to leave their faction. So obviously, that's the most consequential match on the card. I think the one most worth paying attention to. But other than that, I think that enjoy wrestling. It's a great week. It's just a great week. I feel like it's a great week. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to put my away messages on Slack and head to Toronto this week. I'm going to be at Collision and at Forbidden Door. I haven't decided if I'm going to do any of the indie shows yet, but if I'm there and you see me, definitely come say hi. But yeah, super exciting stuff. Cannot wait to share more with you about what I've been working on. Thank you, everybody who has been supporting my articles. This week, I dropped a Juneteenth love letter to all the amazing Black women who have been just excellent, killing it during 2023 and making history in their own right in the wrestling world. And writing has been, I've never really written for wrestling before a few weeks ago, but it's been really cool for me and been really therapeutic. And I've been enjoying, researching different stuff and growing my own knowledge and being able to meet people and interview them and talk to them and honestly just grow as a wrestling fan, wrestling researcher. And I'm excited to share all the things I have coming down the pipeline. But yes, until next time, you can find me as always at Lyric Wrestling on Twitter. And if you have any questions or if you have anything that you'd like to see on the show, feel free to, at me or DM me. Always open to feedback. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. And I will talk to you next week. And I almost positive. I think I'll have a very special guest in a very special episode. So super exciting stuff. Obviously, it's going to be a Forbidden Door recap. It's going to be excellent, absolute excellent show, and I'm hope that all of you watch it. All right, bye everyone.